Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. A warm welcome to another edition of APAC Dialogue. We have with us as our guest today evening Mr. Ganesh Shankar, the CEO and co-founder of Responsive, and he will take us through the solutions, the very innovative RFP solutions that Responsive offers and the dynamics behind that. Before we start on the interaction, a brief about APAC News Network. We are a media organization headquartered out of Noida with a pan India presence, and we focus on technology deployment across governance, across education, healthcare, manufacturing, BFSI, startups, and the likes. So, without any further ado, I would like Ganesh to start. Maybe a brief introduction about yourself, and if you can take our viewers through the journey from RFPIO to responsive, and how has this journey been, and what has been the rationale behind the recent rebranding, also. Thank you.
Yeah. Rajneesh, first of all, I would like to thank you and APAC News Network for giving us this opportunity. Feeling really honored to be on the show. A little bit of a background about myself. I'm originally from Coimbatore, India. Just after my master's, I did my MBA, and after my master's, I joined a stockbroker to start selling DMAT and insurance and financial services product. This is back in 2005, and I was there in that industry for almost 4 or 5 years. And 2008 and 9 market crash came in. That's when I realized that it was not my cup of tea, and then I decided to switch my career to technology in 2009. I joined as a business analyst when I switched my career from financial services into technology, and for since then I've been in technology for almost 15 years now. Pretty much, my focus area was always been on the product side. Being from a business analyst, became a product manager. When I was managing the suite of products for my private company that I work for, typically I've been pulled into many different deals. My sales team is working as a almost like a pre-sales manager, or pre-sales person, helping my sales team to win potential customers and the businesses that we were getting. The company that I used to work, was an enterprise software company. So we had to, respond to a lot of what we call as, request for proposal. That's what RFP is, request for proposals. It's like very similar to how we in India we do tender. So I moved to the US in 2011. That's when, even before then, even when I was in India for the same company, I was supporting the sales team. After I moved to the US in 2011, my involvement got even higher. I anticipated close to about 30 to 35% of my time as a head of product was gone into helping sales teams. But if I look into my job description as a head of product, RFP was not in my job description. I wasn't part of that. My primary job was product management, release management, sprint planning, roadmap, maintenance. That's what my core responsibility was. But if you look into it, I was spending 35% of my time into supporting sales. Similarly, my two other co-founders, Sundar and Shankar, Sundar is my current CTO and Shankar is my current COO. They face a very similar set challenges in their respective jobs. So essentially, what we were looking for, the three of us were looking for a technology that can solve this, because a lot of time it is very duplicative or redundant and duplicate. So we were looking for technology that can solve that problem. That's when we realized there was no good technology out there to solve that very problem that we were facing. So we ended up taking the reins on our own hand in 2015, started RFPIO. Almost 8 years now. We are the leading brand in the space, and we're all over the world. To be specific, we are over, we have customers over 45 countries, and we have users over 100 countries as of today, and we are about strong 500 member company. I'll talk about the journey from RFPIO to responsive, but I just want to give a break there. Any follow up questions you may have, Rajneesh?
I would come to the, but maybe this rebranding to responsive, would like to touch upon. I would like to later touch upon a question on, since your focus has been on developing a product, and typically what we have seen, the challenges for Indian companies, we know has been, whichever companies are focused more on product development than services have faced challenges. It's primarily one, the lack of, um, I won't say R&D. R&D, India has considerable clout, but the problem more has been on the marketing front. The challenge, the budget for marketing and spreading it. So I would also like to know how you sort of mitigated that challenge to grow as a product company. But before that, just take us from this journey once you started, and how the last few years have been.
Yeah, we started in 2015 and launched the product in 2016. Rajni. So basically, we took almost 6 7 months to build the product and then to basically validate the product to do beta program. So we kind of gone through that early phase. So we did that about 6 7 months. Then started onboarding our paying customers middle of 2016. So initially, like I said, when we started the company and then we started launching the product, our focus was exclusively on solving, responding to RFPs and tenders. That was our only core use case that we were solving. Over a period of time, like I said, it's been 8 years. Now we have over 2,000 customers. I mean, that includes almost 20, 24, 25 of Fortune 100 companies. And these are not small companies. These are some of the world's largest companies use our product. What we realized, came to realization is, the product is being used beyond RFPs. Some customers use it for, responding to analyst questionnaires, responding to investor questionnaires, responding to some customers even use it for grant writing. It has nothing to do with RFPs. Due diligence question. So the product got its use beyond the core use case that originally we started, the company for. That's when we realized, okay, this is, we should not put ourselves into this, smaller use case area, which is when, we realized the name RFPIO sounded very specifically to address that use case. So we wanted a generic name, to address the product is beyond RFP. It is much larger use case. So this is, we've been, thinking about this for quite some time. But earlier this year, 2023, we brought our first, chief marketing officer, Michael Longren, and we also brought onboarded our first chief revenue officer, Jeff Santlicius. So as a leadership group, we discussed about the possibility of, addressing multiple use cases. The first thing popped up is, we got to have a name that represents that kind of a broader use case. So we decided to go on the journey of, taking a step back and see what are the right thing to do. So we kind of contemplated many different ways. Definitely we contemplated keeping RFPA as is because it has such a powerful brand equity in the market. People recognize RFPIO as being so losing that brand equity is not a small thing because it's over 8 years we've created. But the trade-off we realize is much bigger for the longer run for the company. So we decided to rebrand as responsive because it is wider, so it gives you the opportunity to understand the product is much beyond just RFPs. So hopefully that gives you an answer, Rajneesh.
Thanks. Since again, just a little bit juggling the sequence. since we have talked about looking at the product beyond just RFPs. My question, I would like to answer a little bit technically on how does this product or the software integrate with the other enterprise applications? So typically a SCM, a supply chain management solution, that often needs to be integrated with RFPs, because a large enterprise would have a lot of suppliers, and it would integrate with the ERP itself. So, how is this integration happening? And there can be myriad other customized application a particular enterprise might be using. So, how does that integration happen, and what are the challenges in that integration?
Great question, Rajneesh. So it gives me an opportunity to clarify the core use case that if you look at the ERPs and the SCM product, you know, le- take a step back, right? If you look at a tender or a RFP, there are two sides of the spectrum. There's a company who's trying to buy something who issues the RFP, a company that sells something who responds to RFP, those contractors. Our primary users are the contractors, not the buyers. We help companies to respond to RFPs. So when you talk about integration, we don't integrate with the ERP and SCM. Rather, we integrate with the CRM platforms, customer relationship management, because vendors' primary business is being done through CRM platform because their customers are the ones who are issuing the RFPs. If you respond to a tender, say from Maharashtra government, so you are a contractor, so you are my target customer. You can use the product because you are responding to various tenders and RFPs many different times. It's not one time and said and done. You're responding to this corporation, tomorrow you may be responding to a different corporation within Maharashtra. So there's a lot of different opportunities that you have to pursue. A lot of time it is redundant work. So that's what we solve, those problems where people do repeated work, responding to multiple RFPs over a year or over a month or weeks. So that is where we solve. So for that reason, we have to integrate with your content management system like SharePoints of the world, your CRM platforms like Salesforce, or HubSpots of the world, which we do very well. By the way, we are, if I'm not mistaken, we have the most comprehensive list of integration than any other player in the space. We integrate with more than 40 different systems in our portfolio. So it is very much for the sellers. It is very much for the companies who sell their product or service.
Thanks. I'd like to know two things. One, is the product only available on premise, or is it on cloud also? And more importantly, I would like to understand now, even this contract process, whatever you call RFP or otherwise, it's different in different geographies. It will follow different regulatory mechanisms, laws, and different. So, how does it sort of reconcile to a standardized or a more homogeneous kind of um, model? How does it happen?
Great question. So to answer your first question, we are a 100% cloud-based application. So we are 100% subscription based. We don't offer on-prem. So we do have dedicated cloud option, but we don't do behind the firewall option. It is 100% cloud. Uh, to answer your question, the second question, you're absolutely right. Different industries, different geographics have different ways. For example, right? If you in Asia and including India, they call it as tender, or right, tender. In Europe, they call it as bid. In North America, that's called RFP. Let alone, I'm not even talking about security questionnaires and due diligence questionnaires, grants and analyst questionnaires. There's so many different types of questions. So, but end of the day, if you look at it, right, Rajneesh, what companies are trying to do is they want to be strategically responding to those questionnaires that they get. It be it tender, be it bid, be it RFP, be it any questionnaire for that matter. So we are calling this whole idea as what we call as an SRM, which stands for Strategic Response Management. So essentially, our platform holds all your answers and typical responses to those questions. So we doesn't matter which questionnaire you are getting. It could be RFP, bid, security questions, RFIs, no matter what. Our system is intelligent enough to recognize those requirements that you're getting and recommend the best possible answer or response for those requirements, so that you are not starting from scratch. Because even for me, right, we get a lot of RFPs and security questionnaires, even when we sell to our customers. But I don't want my salesperson to throw in what they think is right to just get a deal done. Because essentially, if they are misrepresenting the company or misgiving information in the tender, eventually maybe they're selecting, the customer is selecting based on those answers. And 3 months down the line, they come to know, oh, those features are not supported. Somebody just answered, yes, we can support this. It becomes a liability for me as a company, and it can lead to a lot of risk. So I don't want to take that risk. I want, when the salesperson gets an RFP, when they are responding, I want them to rely on what we call the subject matter expert, which is what me in my previous company. When it comes to product, or product managers, can you please help? Can we support these features XYZ? Technology team, can we do we have a security layer like this, this, or operations team, can we do this, instead of my salesperson throwing in something they think is the right thing.
When you what you were saying, that why the reason I interrupted you, what you were saying will need a lot of info to be fed to the system to create an extensive knowledge system, so that but that needs to be very dynamic. You just can't feed data and then hope that can be analyzed, because this data will be very real time and will change. So how do you manage that? It cannot be a very static kind of knowledge system. So how does that happen?
Absolutely, great question, Rajni. So you are absolutely right. So one, no customer is going to start responding to tender and RFP after implementing response. So they've already, in some form or fashion, are responding to. It could be manual. So we typically, when we sign up a customer, we work with the customer and ask for the best possible answers that they've got in the last 12 months, 15 RFPs. They can decide whatever it is. So that becomes the source. They load that, we help them to migrate that documents or content that's already there. That's one. The second source is, as you start using the system, you modify the answer to up to date, or you change it so that gets updated. The third one is the most critical thing, which is what you were referring to. We have what we call as a workflow engine inside the system. So instead of waiting for the 11th hour, you can actually say, okay, these are product related questions. I'm going to assign ownership. Not when you get an RFP, it's actually in our library. You can say this is owned by John Doe, who's my product manager. I want him or her to update this content every 90 days, every 30 days, every release. So it's the system alerts and say, hey, can you please make sure this content is latest and greatest? They can simply say yes, it looks good, or they can say no, 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 it's outdated, I'm going to update it. Great. If they do that, the frontline teams who are consuming the content, they rest assured they're using the latest and greatest content, instead of waiting for the 11th hour and scrambling at the last minute. Oh, I have to submit an RFP by today. You don't have to wait until then. You can assign ownership to your subject matter expert in the system, and system takes care of the alerting them, saying, hey, this is coming up for review, please make sure the content is up to date. So that's what system is designed for. And by that workflow, we are addressing exactly what you are talking about. The problem of your content getting stale or static is being addressed, because we're constantly engaging the right subject matter expert to update the content.
Okay, great. Another area which I was suddenly feeling, though you have talked about the security layer, but there can be scenarios where multiple of your customers will be responding to a same tender or a same contract. And we all know, in a competitive environment, that's a sort of a cutthroat environment, and they're uh, ensuring it's not just a question of securing, but you have to even sort of give that assurance. So how do you manage that when multiple of your customers are in that same tender?
You're absolutely right, Rajneesh. And there are, again, one thing we don't do is we don't commingle, customers' data. We have a very clear firewall set between customer one instance to another instance. So there's no way for customers' data to get commingled. It's very similar to how you are handling CRM, right? In Salesforce, I'm sure, Salesforce, same customer is there in two competing, information. So the technology is matured enough to prevent those, commingling these days. There is no way one customer information is fed into another customer's, a library. That doesn't happen. And it's very similar, like I said, CRMs have been for years. So, I'm sure there are two, if you maintain a CRM, all your customer data is there. I'm pretty sure your competitors will also have a CRM. So that doesn't mean that they're mingling. So a very similar approach we have taken. Touch wood, 8 years, we've never had to face that a similar situation. So I'm sure, in the past, there are definitely, multiple customers had to bid for the same opportunity, but it doesn't matter for us because we are purely helping them to, preserve the most compliant response for each of them, and we don't mix between them.
Okay, thanks. Now, coming back more to the business, what I would like to understand specifically for the India geography, which are the verticals where you see where you are getting maximum traction, and how does that compare with what is there in the other geographies?
Yeah. So it's not so different from the other geographies, but predominantly the ITSM market has been our go-to market in India. But if you take globally, we have other industries like IT, and we get into healthcare, and financial services becomes another major market for us, especially in the North American market. We have a lot of financial services clients. But if you ask specifically in India, majority of our inroads has been into the ITSM sector, then maybe followed by uh, professional services. To an extent, we get that, and then a little bit of financial services too, definitely in India. But compared to the global market, I would say ITSM is the major contributor in our revenue from India.
And typically, if we look at the even the ITSM market in India, that typically operates in a global environment. Their clients would not be, in most cases, not in this geography, but in other geographies. So, in a cross geographical contract, where again, the earlier question was about the different compliances. Now, here the between the supplier and the provider, the compliances itself would be different. So, how does the software reconcile that?
See, for us, it's major. We don't interact to the other side yet. Mostly, we our application is used by the internal team. So the supplier, when a supplier subscribes for our platform, pretty much only the supplier team is using. It's not goes into the client side at all. But that is the roadmap that we are on to it. Eventually, I do think we'll be able to connect both sides of the spectrum. But today we speak only to the internal teams. So our final output is typically Word, PDF, or Excel document that they can submit to the customer. But we don't directly interact with their customers. It is their. It's like internal, CRM platform, or internal platform, and we don't go into the client's environment yet.
Okay. Uh, mm, Coming back to India specifically, there's a large market in the government sector, especially for tenders and stuff. And so, how are you exploring that market, and what are the challenges, unique challenges there?
Yeah, so of course, I'm seeing a lot of push towards GEM from the central government, especially when it comes to digitization of tendering process, and because of that, I do think that there's going to be a lot of opportunities for SMB businesses to take participation. So earlier, traditionally, if you look at these kind of large tenders require a lot of manpower, some support, submit, and with digitization, you don't need that many manpower. It allows the SMB businesses to participate, give it a fair chance to bid on an tender in the GEM portal. The central government is really pushing hard on. So if you have technology like us, responsive or in an SRM platform, that will help you facilitate, essentially it will help you to do more with less, resources. So that is where our strength comes in. We can help those SME and mid-market companies, because they have a limited resource and they have to respond to a lot of RFPs or they have to put in a lot of resources. Then that becomes a barrier for them to even participate in those bids. Now with the technology like responsive, where it can essentially automate your response process with your own content, it gives you an opportunity to be on the race, to at least give it a fair shot to be to earn a business. So that's where we see a lot of opportunity helping the SMB and mid market companies.
Great. And what has been your sort of a go-to-market strategy? How do you market, and how do you look at acquisition of new customers?
Yeah, our GTM has been very evolutionary. I would say every stage of when we were in size of the company, when we were less than 10 customers, it was a different strategy. Then we have to look out for our own network. So now we have almost 2,000 customers. It became like it's a massive operation right now, compared to how it was even a couple of years before. We although our fundamental belief did not change from day one. Our fundamental belief is we have to educate the customers or the space with the right content. We spend a lot of energy in content marketing, creating a thought provoking content, and most importantly, we don't do a lot of gating. And I say what I mean by gating, we don't ask your email IDs and phone numbers to read an article, to download a report from us. It's for some, yes, we do, but majority of that, because we strongly believe the more we educate the customer, the at the top of the funnel, they're going to eventually turn into an actual customer because we are helping them to be on top of the technology, and we are helping them to be on top of what is happening. We're also helping them to be effective when it comes to responding to RFPs, RFIs, all those things. And then content marketing leads into essentially a lead, and then we have inbound sales teams who are primarily you know given target towards, or given the mandate for doing the discovery of what is the need for them. We don't try to sell anything and everything to every customer. We want to be very specific, because at the end of the day, in a SaaS business, your renewal, your churn matters. And you can sell something today, and if the customer is not renewing, that puts a lot of pressure on the business. So first hand itself to better do a right alignment so that you are bringing the customer in the journey and showing them the value, and they renew it. Otherwise, you do something and you move on, it's not good for them, it's not good for the company, it puts a lot of pressure downstream. So we take it's a full life cycle from content creation to the customer journey with us. We see every step of the way. And in that, our customer success team plays a major role in maintaining that relationship. So it's a journey, Rajneesh.
Thanks. Uh, what about, say, unlike ITSM or some verticals might be using or have been comfortable on responding to tenders and contracts on a more offline manner ultimately, and now they are undergoing that digitization of the RFP process. So in cases of such clients, how long is that handholding exercise to help them digitally transform themselves, and what are the typical challenges that you face there?
You know, Again, it depends on the size of the company. Even for example, Microsoft is one of our key customers. I think it took us almost 12 weeks for them to be completely, 12 weeks is about 3 months for a company like Microsoft. We were able to completely roll out, and even we have a case study where we were able to show them an efficiency gain of $4.2 million in just about 2 years after they implemented, responsive. It is right there, and it's on our website. Happy to share it. When you talk about SMB and mid market, it varies. We have customers who onboarded in 3 weeks, because they it's a smaller company. They were able to dedicate their time and focus on on the implementation, and that becomes, I would say anywhere from 3 weeks to 12 weeks is a good time frame, depending on the size of a company. We can help them on board. It could be even faster, but to be on the safer side, a minimum of 3 weeks is good enough.
Okay, great. And if you can give certain Indian referenceable customer names to sort of make our viewers understand the gamut that you work on.
Yeah, we have quite a few customers, companies like Infosys, TCS. We have Freshworks, ChargeBee, Genpact. We have Postman. We have quite a few customers in the Indian market. Even on a large scale, we have customers like Microsoft, Amazon, Facebook, Uber, Lyft. So and even very traditional companies like United Health, Cigna, those are our customers as well. So we have many. We are a horizontal software which is used by many different industries and many different verticals.
And what have been the expansion plans? Expansion in terms of geographies, in terms of more features, adding new features or facilities or centers. What has been the action there?
Yeah, great question. And in fact, this is an opportunity for me to call out, in our recent, inaugural of our Coimbatore office. So we expanded to a 30,000 square foot office recently, about a couple of weeks before. Um, I would say it's one of the best offices I've been, where we have given amazing space for our employees to have a a productive day, and we continue to invest in that area, and we do anticipate in the near future, a similar, if not similar, at least some setup in Chennai and Bangalore. Um, that's the plan to expand the office. So right now we're about 500 employees globally. We anticipate that to be doubled in next 24 months. We are expecting to double our headcount.
So the development center is only in Coimbatore, or do you have development center in other geographies also?
We do. I just want to correct. It's not just development center. We see as an extended office where we have pretty much all the different teams. Even in Coimbatore, we have development, go-to-market teams. We have contracts team. We have operations team. marketing, with sales. All the teams are there. Similarly, we have in US also very small, development center, but we have, in Kansas, we have pretty much all these different departments that I just mentioned. So we don't have one dedicated area for development, but that's how intentionally it's been structured for now.
So, in terms of if you look at the customer profile geography wise, how would the ratio be?
Predominantly, definitely, it's North American. But like I said, we have customers in 44 different countries. But majority of the customers are concentrated in North American market. But we have customers all over the world, Rajneesh. And we continue to see that trend, especially in APAC and Europe.
And lastly, I'd like to understand if we look at the next few quarters, maybe 18 to 24 months, if we look at what are the key focus areas going to be, can be from any aspect.
Yeah. So like I said, right now our predominantly our focus has been helping the supplier side, responding to RFPs or tenders. Our goal is to, our vision is to transform how organizations exchange and share information, right? What that means is we want to create the world's most powerful information exchange platform, which means the requesting side and the responding side should be able to exchange information on the same platform, minimizing the need for standalone documents and minimizing the need for standalone emails. So the most secure way to do and most powerful information exchange is what we are trying to do, helping two sides of the spectrum to exchange information. So that's our go forward plan.
Thank you. And great insights for all our viewers. And thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Rajneesh. Appreciate you having me, and super fun to have this conversation. So looking forward to having a continuous dialogue.
Definitely. Sure. Thank you. Bye.